Senator Udall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here to share your important perspectives on this issue. And I would be remiss if I didn't both talk about more broadly the tremendous courage and commitment, dedication that the Army's demonstrated under your all's leadership. And I would also like to just comment specifically about Colorado. We're the proud home of tens of thousands of active duty reserve and National Guard soldiers, and we've watched with awe as they've answered our nation's call time and again. Last week, General Odierno, we talked a little bit about what's happened in Colorado the last couple of years. We've had the worst wildfires and flooding in our state's history, and it was the Army that came to our rescue. Active duty and National Guard soldiers fought the flames, rescued our citizens from rising floodwaters, and saved countless homes. And then when it was over, they've been helping us rebuild our state. And then at the same time, you've got thousands of soldiers from Fort Carson, Colorado reservists and National Guardsmen who are doing heroic work overseas, just as they have done since 9/11. And my point of view is that we need our Army to be able to perform all of those roles with the same skill and honor and courage that they've demonstrated over the last decade. No one doubts the value of the Guard or questions the incredible service of our citizen soldiers, but we need to ensure that our total force remains well-trained, well-equipped, and ready. It's not about the active duty or the Guard, it's about our Army. And that's why it's so important that we get this decision right. And in that spirit, I know it's been addressed, I think, early in the hearing, but I want to make sure I've got it, and we do have it right. So General Odierno, let me direct a comment and a question to you. Some of my colleagues in Congress are considering legislation that would establish an independent commission to examine the total Army's force structure. And as I understand it, the proposal would freeze National Guard troop and equipment levels pending the release of the commission's findings. Would you describe the effect such a freeze would have on the total force, considering that similar studies have taken, I think, up to 2 years to complete?
I would, Senator. So we estimate that if it was delayed, it'd cost us $1 billion a year. And the problem with that is I've already submitted a $10.7 billion UFR for 15. So this would be another $1 billion. So what that means, it directly comes out of Readiness. There's no other place for it to come out of if this is not done. So if it's delayed 2 years, it would be $2 billion, $1 billion a year of savings that we would have already forecasted. So that would increase the UFRs. And again, my other concern is then it would exacerbate our already problematic readiness levels in all three components.
So if you put it plainly...
A UFR is an unfunded requirement.
An unfunded requirement, yes, sir.
Sorry for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So to put it plainly, if the current plan is blocked or delayed, would additional active duty Army brigades be at the risk of deactivation?
It wouldn't be immediately. It would not be immediately, but readiness and training would be. If it's not executed, if they don't execute our plan over the long term, then by 19 it will result in additional active units coming out, and it would be up to somewhere between 20 and 30,000 additional soldiers that would have to come out if ARI is not implemented.
Okay. General Grass, let me turn to you. How have the AH-64s been used to support homeland defense and civil support missions? And let me give you an example. In Colorado, we've benefited greatly from having National Guard Blackhawks available to perform SAR, search and rescue missions, evacuate flood victims, drop water on wildfires, and even deliver hay to cattle stranded by blizzards. Have Apaches ever been used for those purposes, and wouldn't it make sense to have those utility aircraft available to governors for in-state missions?
Senator, if you would allow me first to congratulate your folks from the Colorado Army and Air National Guard. I had a chance to visit during the floods, and that was the third disaster in 18 months. I also had a chance to go up afterwards and have an opportunity to see Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, and Utah repair the road between Lyons and Estes Park in record time. Yeah. Senator, to answer your question, there is one time that when the Columbia disaster occurred, the Columbia Space Shuttle, that an Apache was used under the direction of NASA to locate hotspots out across the lands of Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, mainly Texas and Louisiana. But the main mission of those Apaches is to support the to be the combat reserve of the Army.
General, thank you for the work you did, and it was uplifting to have all those Guard units from all the surrounding states. And as you know, that road was due to be completed a month or two after it actually was finished and put back into operation. It was quite a moment for everybody, and it showed when we work together, private sector, government sector, we can really do remarkable things. And so thanks again for the involvement there. General Readiness, if I could come back to this attack aircraft question. Will moving the attack aircraft to the active component relegate the reserve component to a support role rather than a combat role? Is there any intent by the Army or the DoD leadership to return the National Guard to a lower tier status? And after you comment, General Grass, I'd like your comment.
Yeah, no, and in fact, the reason we are recommending aircraft moving is actually to increase readiness, increase their capability. UH-60s have flown more combat hours in Iraq and Afghanistan than any other aircraft by far. It's the centerpiece of everything that we do. So their need for combat operations will continue because it's a centerpiece. The other piece I would say is it'll also allow us the ability to reinvest in the readiness of the National Guard and U.S. Army Reserve. It'll free up dollars so they can sustain the readiness to, in my opinion, to be closer to a full operational reserve, which is what we all want.
General Grass, would you care to comment?
Senator, I've received letters from the governors as well as the adjutants general on the very issue you bring up, and there's a concern. They want to stay as a member, as a combat reserve of the Army and the Air Force. So it is a concern of theirs.
Thank you. General Odierno, can you describe the process by which the force structure plan was designed, reviewed, and approved? For example, were all of the Joint Chiefs included in the process before the budget was finalized?
This has been a 14-month process where we had meetings that were attended by all the Joint Chiefs, all the combatant commanders, all the service secretaries, all leaders in the Secretary of Defense. We had multiple meetings, multiple iterations of this, where we looked at all different types of course of action, and that has been going on and went on for a very long period of time.
And I believe you believe the plan is in the best interest of the military and U.S.'s national security.
I do, Senator. These are tough choices, and I want to make it clear. The Army needs a ready National Guard. We need a ready Army Reserve, but these are necessary. And that's why, again, we took the majority of the cuts from the active component, because we recognize that. And we think this is the best total Army package for the dollars that we have been allocated.
Thank you for that. Thanks again, gentlemen. I look at the three of you and I see the Army. Thank you for being here.